So what are the priorities for retirement planning? If you belong to a company that has a 401k plan with a company match, absolutely should be the place you put your money first. And you should take it full advantage of the match. So if you got a company, for example, here that's giving 3% match, what does that really mean? Well, your $40,000 income, $1,200 is the match. That's free money, $1,200 that's being put into your retirement plan by the company. If you put money into a 401k plan, you also avoid FICA on that $1,200 because that's part of the law too. So you reduce your taxes at the same time you're getting a match on that. Now, if you put the same $1,200 into an IRA, you get the same deduction for tax purposes, but you had to pay the FICA on that $1,200. So there's another incentive to make sure you use the company plan. So even if the company does not have a match program, it's still the second best priority for putting money away for retirement. So any company plan, because any money you put into it, you avoid the tax on the FICA tax, which is 7.65%. That's not a lot, but it is a benefit. You know, so if you're putting up $2,000 in, you're saving yourself, $130 or something in tax or something like that. Or no, if you've got $50,000 of income, you're saving, the tax on the amount that you donate. So not a big number, but I look for every penny. Third choice is the IRA. Now, the IRA, if you have no retirement plan, we can all put money in an IRA for less than 70 years of age, 70 and a half. If we have a retirement plan, there are some income limits, so that if our income is above a certain level and we got a retirement plan, we maybe can't put money into the IRA. If you got a husband or a spouse that's in a retirement plan, but the non-spouse is not, you can, the income goes up to 100 and some thousand before the family loses the ability to put money in an IRA. So the amount you can put into an IRA for a single person now, the income of less than $60,000, you're fully funded your 401k plan, you can still put $5,500 into the IRA. And if you're over 50 years of age, you can add another 1,000. So you can put $6,500 in. If you're over 50 and you had a retirement plan and you're below. And couples, it's 96,000 is the income limit for funding an IRA. Now, you can only fund it up till age 70. Barb and I have to deal with that issue going forward. This is the last year we can put deductible money into an IRA. Now we'll have to switch to the Roth IRA, which is over 70 and a half, if I continue to run my tax businesses. 401k, simple IRAs. The 401k plan, starting in 2013, is $17,500 if you're under age 50. If you're over, it's $23,000. The same limits for 403B and 457 plan. I worked for the university for 6 years. They had all three. They had a 401k, 403B, and 457. I was able to put in more than 50% of my income into retirement plans when I was there the last 5 or 6 years, because my wife was still working. And I didn't need the money. Simple plans is usually for small IRA or small businesses. The limit that is $12,000 if you're under 50 and $14,500 if you're over 50. Now, if you belong to a plan and you fully funded it with everything that you put into the 401k plan, and you're now also over the income limit so that you can't get a deduction for putting money into an IRA, then you can put it into a Roth IRA. And there's no income limits on the Roth IRA. So what is the Roth IRA? The Roth IRA is putting money in after tax dollars. In other words, you get no tax deduction benefit for putting money in. And it grows tax-free. And after 5 years, you can take it out, and any money you take out is tax-free. And what's even more important for retired people, it does not affect your Social Security. Now, if I've got $15,000 of income, dividends, interest, and other sources, and $15,000 of Social Security, a part of that Social Security is going to be taxed under the law, up to 85% of it. But if that extra $15,000 is Roth money, it doesn't affect my Social Security, so I don't pay any tax on my Social Security. So it's very important for long-term income planning, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes here. After 70 and a half, we can still put the money in. Oh, the other big benefit is that at death, a regular IRA passes to your children or heirs. They need to pay the full income tax as they take money out of that account. Whereas if it's a Roth account, it's all tax-free and it comes out free. So it's like giving them a tax-free benefit at death. They must take a certain amount out each year based on their life expectancy. They don't have to take any more than that out if they want. You can actually show that if you made a grandchild a beneficiary of a Roth account and they inherited $10,000 at about age 18, and they were able to keep it invested at about 10%, they'd have somewhere between $1 and $2 million in a retirement plan at age 65. So there could be huge incentives to passing that on to young people as a retirement alternative for them. You can also roll over your present IRA and pension accounts into a Roth. And when you roll it over, you have to pay the tax on the transfer. Because it's really like you take $20,000 out of your IRA, you put it into the Roth, you have to report the $20,000 for tax purposes, and then it won't grow tax-free in the Roth. So the strategy for most people is to, especially when they're at retirement, they got their incomes are pretty well set up. And they look at the tax bracket they're in. And they say, you know, I've got some money left in the 10% bracket, or I've got some money left in the 15% bracket. I want to take that much out of my retirement plan, and I'll only have to pay 15% on that. I want to roll that into the Roth, and then it'll grow tax-free from that point on. The other advantage of that is because once you reach 70 and a half, you have to take out a minimum each year from that account, minimum required distribution. So the smaller your account is, the less money you have to take out. The less money you have to take out, the less tax you have to pay. So, you know, one goal for some people who retire before 70 and a half is starting with transfer that money over to the Roth, so that when they reach 70 and a half and have to take the money out, they've got a much smaller amount of money to take the money out, a much smaller account to take the money out. So there's less tax that has to be paid long term. In 2010, it used to be up to 2010, people could roll money into the Roth IRA, but it was limited to people with incomes of 100,000 or less. Now it doesn't matter what your income is, families of all sizes can, and incomes can roll. So, what are some strategies? Well, here's Sam has 100,000. He's going to roll from an IRA to a Roth. He also doesn't want to pay any tax at this point, so he's going to put 100,000 from another investment he has into a donor advised fund. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. So 5 years from now, Sam can take the income tax-free from his Roth account. If he's over 70 and a half, he avoids the mandatory withdrawal on this amount. So let's say he's 75 years of age, he's made this withdrawal. If he had not done the rollover, he would have had to pay tax on the $27,133 withdrawn money from that account over that 5-year period. During that same time period, he would have had, in this the sample I had put up together was $23,000 of his Social Security that needed to be taxed. So between these are now two about 50,000 that needed to be taxed during that 5-year time period, and that was gonna cost him $10,400 in taxes. At the same time, his account would have grown to 115,000, still fully taxable to his heirs. On the other hand, if he rolled it to the Roth, he avoided the 10,004 on the withdrawals, both on his income and the Social Security. He avoided having to pay tax on the Social Security. His Roth is now grown to 146,000. So now you have a retirement plan that's growing and only is reduced if you have to, if you want to take money out. It's not reduced if you have to take money out. So, you know, for people that are gonna live to be 90 years of age, when do they most need the money? Well, maybe when they're 85. You know, they don't need it. Maybe they've got other resources, things they wanna do from 70 to 85. They don't need money there, but they do need more money later. So,
If he hadn't done that $100,000 stock thing, how much would he have had to pay?
yeah, then the math gets kind of, you know, prepaying tax is never a good deal. So it's, that's why that would be a worst case scenario. Most people, we would say, okay, that doesn't make sense. What does make sense is maybe taking 10,000 out each year and slowly moving it into the Roth if you're gonna pay tax.
Because if you rolled it directly from the IRA, from the regular IRA into the Roth IRA, you would pay tax on what you rolled.
Right.
So
Yeah,
now you
report it, and then whether you can offset it with deductions of some sort, that's
Yeah.
the strategy.
Yeah,
And we'll look at another, talked about the stock match. We talked about the fact that stock inside a retirement plan grows and should normally be capital gains, but if it's inside the retirement plan, it's ordinary income. So at retirement, you have the option to roll over your retirement plan into a self-directed IRA. And when you're doing that rollover, you can roll over the part that was your contributions. And then you can take the part that was the company match, and you take that as a withdrawal. And you have to pay the tax on it. But you only pay the tax on the basis. So let's say this person here had $200,000 in their retirement plan that was the stock match and growth. So at time of withdrawal, 50,000 of that is the basis. He pays tax on the 50,000, but then the other 150,000, and if he was in the 15% of the lower tax bracket, he paid no tax on the part that he'd pay the ordinary tax on the 50,000, but he wouldn't have to pay anything on the capital gains tax at a point that he would start to sell that stock. So you understand that what you've taken is the stock out of the retirement plan, you preserved the capital gains that was attached to that stock, and now you have the same options as if you had bought that stock outside the retirement plan in your home in life, and it now had grown 3 or 4 times. You could gift it to charity and avoid the capital gains. You could sell it, and if you're in the low tax bracket, you don't pay the capital gains. So you have lots of flexibility with it. Barb and I were able to do that with the 300 match stock. So all the stock in that account was taken out of that stock, paid tax on the ordinary basis of it, and now we can use the rest of the gift or whatever we want to do with it. So, commercial annuity. So commercial annuity is a contract between the insurance company and you, where you give them some money and they'll give you an income either right away, called an immediate annuity, or at some later date under either a deferred annuity or a variable annuity. And a variable annuity means that the money that's in the annuity is invested in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, stuff like that. 2 reasons I don't like it. One is it's the highest commission rate out there of any of the products. So you're spending a lot of money on the front end for this contract. Again, the second thing is it converts capital gains, if you have stock or mutual funds inside the contract, into ordinary income as you take the money out. So if you want to own stock, you don't want to own something that you're going to pay ordinary tax on. So you're much better off for most people So they said, well, I want a payment for life to design a portfolio that you put your money into, and then at some point, you tell the mutual fund company, send me $500 a month. And if your portfolio does better than that, maybe next, you can move it to 600, or you've got some control over it. But the main thing is, as you get the payments, they're gonna be capital gains, maybe some dividends, and if you're in the lower tax bracket, you may not pay any tax on those withdrawals. Whereas you pay 100% tax coming out of a regular commercial annuity contract. And the other thing is, they're not guaranteed by the government, even though some people think they are. So when they say, well, there's a fixed income, well, the fixed income is only as good as the insurance. Now granted, because they're paying such a low rate of return, they can afford to guarantee it. They're making all the extras. And one time they calculated, in an annuity contract, the insurance company makes about 22%.